Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Imagine waking up in ancient Rome. You wouldn't last a day, not because of war or gladiators, but because of the quiet, exhausting reality of daily Roman life. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. You wake just before dawn, a humid heaviness in the air that tells you the day will be hot, just like every day in the Roman summer. The straw mattress is lumpy beneath you, and as you shift, small pieces of straw stick to your damp skin. You can already hear the distant creak of wagon wheels, the low murmurs of neighbors rising, and the occasional bark of a stray dog echoing through the stone alleys. You sit up slowly, rubbing the sleep from your eyes, and your first thought is water. Not the crisp, cold water you wish for, but the tepid water kept overnight in a clay jug, already warm from the trapped heat of the previous day. You pour a small amount into a chipped clay cup, feeling the coolness briefly before the heat of your hand warms it further. Standing, you stretch, careful not to bump the low wooden ceiling beams of your insula room. The building creaks and groans as others move about, and bits of dust and plaster drift down with the movement. You can hear a child crying, a mother humming a soft, tired song, and the heavy footfalls of men heading to the streets to claim the coolest hours for labor before the sun rises fully. You wrap yourself in your simple tunic, its linen fabric rough but light, and slip your worn leather sandals onto your feet. The floor is cool for a moment, before your body heat begins to warm the smooth stone. As you step toward the doorway, you pause, taking a slow breath, letting the stale air of the room settle before you push aside the curtain and step into the world beyond your small rented space. Outside, the street is narrow, flanked by the walls of tall, crowded insulae. The early light filters through laundry lines, catching on the fabric and creating a patchwork of color across the dusty stones below. Already people are stirring, women with baskets, men with tools, children weaving between adults, looking for scraps of bread or a game to distract them from the slow burn of the morning heat. Your first task is to fetch water from the public fountain, an act so common that it is done with your mind half elsewhere, yet so vital that spilling a single drop can feel like a small tragedy. The amphora you carry on your hip is heavy, even when empty, its clay sides rough against your skin. You join the line of neighbors, each waiting their turn, each carrying the same weary resignation that the day will only grow hotter. The water flows from the fountain's carved spout, clear and cold for a moment before it is captured in your amphora, where it will begin to warm within minutes under the rising sun. The fountain is fed by distant aqueducts, those mighty arches that bring water from the hills. Yet here, in the crowded street, the water feels fragile, something you must guard carefully as you carry it back home. As you lift the amphora, you feel its weight shift against your hip. The clay cool against your side, the water sloshing softly inside. The street feels longer on the way back, your shoulders already aching, your steps careful to avoid the deep ruts in the stones carved by countless carts over the years. The smell of the city intensifies as the heat rises, a mix of bread baking, smoke drifting from hearth fires, and the scent of people packed closely together. Back at your insula, you place the amphora carefully in its corner, and your family gathers to share a simple breakfast. The bread is coarse, baked the previous day, and now hard enough that you must dip it in oil or water to soften it. If you are fortunate, there are olives, a wedge of cheese, or a piece of fruit, but often it is just bread and water, eaten slowly as the room grows warmer around you. Breakfast is quiet. Conversations are low, practical, discussing errands, the cost of grain, or whether the laundry will dry before the afternoon storms roll in. The noise outside begins to rise, with vendors calling out prices in the street, neighbors arguing over water spills, and the clatter of carts carrying goods toward the marketplace. You step outside again, tasked with helping carry goods for a neighbor in exchange for a few coins. The market is already crowded, the narrow aisles filled with people pushing past each other. The smell of fresh produce mixing with the sharp scent of fish left too long in the sun. The heat is rising now, each breath warm, the air heavy as you move through the throng. A vendor calls out the price of grapes, the fruit glistening with morning dew, and another offers flatbread, still warm from the oven. You pass by a fishmonger who is splashing water onto his catch to keep it from spoiling. The water running down the stone street in small rivulets that catch the light before disappearing into the cracks. The sun climbs higher and the shadows shrink, leaving you exposed to the glare of the summer day. You pull your tunic tighter around your shoulders to shield your skin, though it does little to keep the heat away. The air smells of dust and sweat, and your feet ache from the uneven stones, each step a reminder of the weight of the day ahead. You pause at a shaded corner, catching your breath, feeling the sweat dripping down your back, pooling at the base of your neck. Children run past, laughing, their feet bare on the warm stones, their games loud in the heavy air. A woman calls after them, her voice tired but gentle, reminding them not to stray too far. The marketplace is alive with the sounds of barter, voices rising in argument, laughter over a successful deal, the metallic ring of coins exchanged for bread, oil, or fabric. The smells are thick, roasting meat, fresh herbs, and the acrid scent of smoke from a brazier where a vendor roasts chickpeas for customers. You finish your errands, your hands dusty, your arms tired from carrying goods, and you return to your insula. The stairway feels steeper than before, and the heat inside the building is trapped, pressing against you as you climb. The walls radiate warmth, the air inside is still, and the noise of the street outside is a constant hum that never fully fades. You set down your small payment, a few coins, perhaps a handful of dried figs, next to your family's small stash of food, and you sit, letting your body cool in the shade as much as it can. You take a sip of water from the amphora, now lukewarm, but it soothes your dry throat, and you close your eyes, listening to the sound of the city outside. Outside, the sun is high, and the world slows in the midday heat. People retreat indoors if they can. Shutters are pulled closed, and for a brief hour, the city becomes quieter, the heat demanding silence, patience, and stillness from all who live within its walls. And so you sit, waiting for the heat to pass, wondering quietly, how much longer can this day go on? How did they endure this, day after day, in the heart of ancient Rome? You sit on the floor near the window, seeking any breath of air that might stir. The street below is quieter now, the cries of vendors replaced by the rhythmic sound of distant footsteps, the clip-clop of a lone donkey pulling a cart, and the occasional bark of a dog seeking shade under a cart. Dust swirls lazily in the air, catching the light in small golden motes. Your family eats slowly, sharing a bowl of boiled lentils and pieces of coarse bread softened in oil. There is little conversation. Words require effort, and each breath feels too warm, each movement too heavy. The oil is sharp on your tongue, the bread dry even when dipped, the lentils soft but plain, flavored only with a hint of herbs your mother grew in a small clay pot on the windowsill. After the meal, your parents suggest rest. It is the Roman way during the heat, to pause, to let the hottest hours pass before resuming the day's work. You lie down on your straw mattress, the roughness scratching your skin, and close your eyes, listening to the hum of insects outside, the creak of wood as the building shifts in the heat, and the quiet breath of your siblings as they also try to sleep. Sleep comes lightly, slipping in and out as the heat presses against you. Your dreams are filled with flashes of the day, the bright sun reflecting off white stones, the heavy amphora sloshing against your hip, the scent of warm bread, and the sharp cry of a vendor offering grapes. You wake with sweat on your brow, the pillow damp, the air no cooler than before. As the afternoon moves on, the city slowly stirs again. You hear the sounds first, the low murmur of conversation returning to the street, the creak of shutters opening, the clatter of carts being prepared for evening deliveries. The sun still burns in the sky, but the shadows are growing longer, providing small strips of relief along the walls of the insulae and the narrow streets below. You rise, your body stiff from the heat and rest, and wash your face with water that is now warm from the room's heat. The water brings momentary relief, a small comfort as you prepare to return to the street. The air outside is still warm, but it feels different now, less oppressive. The promise of evening giving hope that the day will eventually end. Your father calls for your help to carry goods to a neighbor. The neighbor, a vendor, needs to move baskets of fruit back to their storage before the night. You help lift a basket, the weight digging into your arms, the scent of ripe figs and dusty grapes rising from the woven reeds of the basket as you walk through the street. The city is alive again, with neighbors talking, children running along the streets, and vendors calling out last-minute sales before the market closes for the day. The smell of roasting meat drifts from a nearby stall, mixing with the scent of herbs and the dust that still lingers in the air, warmed by the stones beneath your feet. You pause to watch a street performer, an older man playing a simple flute, the notes drifting through the warm air, soft and repetitive, almost hypnotic. A small crowd gathers, their faces tired but curious, watching as he plays a tune known to many, a tune of home, of daily life, of Rome itself. As you continue your walk, you notice the changes in the air. The heat, while still present, feels different, replaced by a slow breeze that moves gently through the streets. Carrying the scent of the river and the distant hills, it brings with it a feeling of relief, a promise that the night will come, that the heat will lift, even if only for a few hours. Returning to your insula, you set down the basket and share a few figs with your family, their sweetness a small luxury after a long day. The figs are warm, soft, their skins splitting under your fingers, the taste rich and grounding as you sit together, letting the day settle into your bones. Outside, the city glows under the light of the setting sun. The rooftops catch the golden light, and the streets are painted in hues of amber and red, the shadows growing deeper with each passing moment. People move more slowly now, the rush of the day replaced by the gentle rhythms of evening. Lamps are lit, simple clay oil lamps with flickering flames that cast long, dancing shadows on the walls. The scent of burning oil drifts through the room, mixing with the smells of the day, the faint trace of herbs from dinner, and the dust from the street. The glow of the lamp feels comforting, a reminder that the day is closing, that the hardest heat has passed. You sit near the window, looking out as the sky darkens. Stars begin to appear, one by one, above the city. Their light soft and distant, a reminder that the world beyond Rome is vast, unknown, and quiet in its own way. The breeze grows cooler now, brushing against your skin, carrying the faint sounds of distant laughter, of voices softening as the city prepares for rest. As you prepare to lie down, you reflect on the day, the heat, the dust, the weight of the amphora, the slow, careful movements needed to endure a Roman summer. You think of the thousands of others in the city who are doing the same, day after day, finding small moments of relief, small joys and figs shared, in a breeze felt at dusk, in the glow of a simple lamp. And you wonder quietly, as you close your eyes, what will tomorrow bring in this city of stone, dust, and endless sun. How did they find the strength to live these days, year after year, in ancient Rome? Night falls slowly over Rome, the last light of the sun slipping behind the hills as shadows deepen between the tall insulae and across the narrow streets. The heat of the day lingers in the stones, radiating warmth that wraps around you even as you hope for the coolness of the coming darkness. A faint breeze carries the scent of oil lamps and the smoke of cooking fires drifting upward into the evening sky. Inside your insula, the small clay lamp flickers on the table, its glow dancing against the plaster walls. The flame bends and straightens as the air moves, its light illuminating the simple items of your family's life. Woven baskets, a clay bowl, a folded tunic waiting for the next day. The glow feels comforting, a signal that the hardest part of the day is over, and now the slow waiting for sleep can begin. Your family sits together near the window, where the night air is slightly cooler. The voices outside have softened, the city's energy shifting into a quieter rhythm. Distant laughter, a few words exchanged between neighbors, the shuffle of feet on stone as people return to their homes. These sounds favor, grounding you in the steady pulse of Roman life. Your father checks the small clay jar of oil, counting what remains to keep the lamp burning through the night. Oil is precious, and even as the darkness grows, he tips the jar carefully, adding just enough to keep the flame alive. The lamp's glow will guide you through the evening, a small, steady flame in a world that feels heavy and still in the heat. Dinner is simple, the last meal of the day. Leftover lentils warmed over the small brazier, a few olives, and a piece of bread, softer now from the humidity of the day. The taste is familiar, comforting, and you eat slowly, savoring the small bites while the room is filled with the crackle of the tiny flame and the soft breathing of your family. Outside, the streets grow quieter as night deepens. The last carts rattle over the stone roads, merchants calling out final bargains in low voices, and the distant sound of a dog barking echoes against the walls of the buildings. A breeze stirs, carrying the smells of the city: warm stone, oil, dust, and the faint scent of herbs from the gardens of those wealthier than you. Your mother hums softly as she folds the small pieces of cloth used to wipe sweat during the day, stacking them near the water jar for tomorrow. Each piece of cloth, each small task, is part of a rhythm that defines your life here, preparing, enduring, and waiting for the heat to pass, for the next day to come, for the hope of a breeze that might cool your skin as you sleep. The breeze grows a little stronger now, carrying the sounds of the Tiber River in the distance, the rush of water against its banks, and the occasional splash of a fish in the dark. The river is both life and danger for the city, a source of water and food, but also the carrier of sickness, especially in the summer heat when the water grows low and stagnant. You lie back on your straw mattress, shifting to find a cool spot, the straw rustling beneath you. The ceiling beams above are dark in the lamplight, casting lines across the walls that move slowly with the flicker of the flame. You watch the shadows dance as your eyes grow heavy, your body tired from the heat and the day's work, your mind slowing with the rhythm of the night. Your father checks the door, a simple wooden plank secured with a bar to keep out the stray dogs and any wanderers of the night. The sounds outside have nearly faded, replaced by the soft hum of insects and the distant calls of night birds beyond the city walls. The coolness of the air is fragile but present, a small mercy in the thick heat of the Roman summer. You close your eyes, but sleep comes slowly. The heat, though softer now, still clings to your skin, and the small movements of your siblings as they settle in their beds keep your mind half awake. You listen to the sounds of breathing, the soft rustle of straw, and the occasional creak of the building as it cools under the night air. Outside, the city is not entirely at rest. The watchmen patrol the streets, their sandals scraping against the stones, torches flickering as they pass, calling out to one another in low voices to mark their posts. The flicker of their lights can be seen through the cracks in the shutters, small glows moving like fireflies in the darkness. In the distance, you hear the faint strum of a lyre, someone playing a quiet song into the night. The notes are soft, drifting through the warm air, and you let them carry you, letting your breathing slow as you focus on the music. The song feels ancient, even to you, a melody that has filled Roman nights long before you and will continue long after. Your thoughts wander as you drift closer to sleep, thinking of the morning to come, the heavy amphora to be filled with water, the dusty roads to walk, the marketplace alive with voices, the sun rising once again to press its weight upon the city. You wonder if tomorrow will be hotter, if the breeze will come earlier, if the figs will ripen, if the oil will last. The lamp begins to flicker lower now, the oil nearly spent, the flame shrinking into a small, determined glow. Your father carefully shields it with his hand, coaxing it to last a little longer before it dies out, leaving the room in darkness. The darkness feels deep, but the stars outside provide a soft, distant light, a reminder of the world beyond the walls of Rome. You take a deep breath, the air cooler now, almost sweet after the heat of the day. Your body relaxes, sinking into the straw, your mind drifting between the present and the gentle embrace of sleep. The hum of the city fades, leaving only your breathing and the soft rustle of the night around you. And as you drift towards sleep, you wonder quietly, how many nights like this did they endure? How did they find comfort in the small relief of a breeze, in the soft glow of a lamp, in the quiet of a Roman night that held the promise of another day? Dawn returns to Rome quietly, with the first gray light slipping between the wooden shutters and onto the rough plaster walls of your room. The air is cooler, but it carries a heaviness that warns of the heat to come, the promise of another long day beneath the relentless sun. A soft breeze stirs for a moment, carrying the scent of damp earth and dust from the streets below. The city begins to stir, slowly at first. A distant donkey brays as it is led to the market, its hooves clopping over the stones. A mother calls softly to her children to rise, her voice blending with the low murmur of neighbors waking. The sounds of dawn in Rome are calm, yet filled with quiet urgency, each person aware of the tasks that await before the heat becomes unbearable. Your father rises first, checking the clay oil lamp, its wick now cold and stiff, a reminder of the light that kept the darkness at bay during the long night. He carefully sets it aside, knowing that the oil will need to be rationed for the coming nights, and begins to prepare for the day ahead by folding his tunic and tying the leather cord around his waist. Your mother gathers the linen cloths, folding them neatly and placing them in a basket, ready for the day's errands and for wiping sweat during the coming heat. She checks the water jar, tilting it slightly to gauge how much is left, the clay cool against her hands, the water precious as the day begins. You rise from your straw bed, brushing bits of straw from your skin, the scent of the mattress earthy and familiar. Your body is stiff from the night, your muscles remembering the weight of the amphora and the uneven streets from the day before. You stretch your arms, feeling the warmth already beginning to seep into the air, and take a moment to look out the window at the soft, gray light filling the street. Breakfast is simple: a piece of stale bread softened in water, a small bowl of olives, and a few sips of water to prepare your body for the day's work. The bread tastes bland but comforting, the olives sharp and salty, the water cool for a brief moment before your body's warmth claims it. The streets begin to fill with life as neighbors step outside, baskets in hand, ready to visit the fountain and the market before the sun climbs too high. The air is filled with the rustle of sandals on stone, the low calls of vendors arranging their goods, and the soft cooing of pigeons perched on the rooftops, watching as the city slowly awakens. You join your father to fetch water from the public fountain, the heavy clay amphora slung against your hip. Its empty weight, a promise of the burden to come. The walk is quiet, the air still carrying the coolness of night, the shadows long and soft against the stone streets. The scent of baking bread drifts from an oven nearby, warm and comforting in the morning air. At the fountain, a small line has already formed, neighbors waiting patiently for their turn, exchanging quiet greetings and brief conversations about the weather and the cost of grain. The water trickles from the carved spout, clear and cold, splashing softly into the amphora as you hold it steady, feeling the coolness spread through the clay. The walk back feels heavier, the amphora pressing into your side, the water sloshing with each step. The weight is familiar, grounding, reminding you of your place in this city where every drop of water matters. You watch as the shadows grow shorter, the sun rising steadily, warming the stones under your feet, promising another day of quiet endurance. Back at home, the water is carefully set in its corner, and your family prepares for the errands of the day. Your mother checks the small clay jar of oil for trade, while your father prepares to help a neighbor with deliveries in exchange for a few coins. You are tasked with helping your mother at the market, carrying a small basket for vegetables and herbs if the prices are fair. The market is alive again, the narrow aisles filled with voices calling out prices, the scent of fresh herbs mixing with the sharp smell of fish and the warm aroma of bread carried on the breeze. You follow your mother, weaving carefully between vendors, your eyes taking in the colors of figs, grapes, and greens laid out on woven mats. Your mother stops to barter for a small bunch of herbs, speaking calmly with the vendor, offering a few coins and a promise to return with more trade in the coming days. The vendor nods, hands rough from work, and you take the herbs, their scent fresh and sharp, reminding you of the small pot by your window, where your mother grows similar plants. The sun climbs higher, and you feel the heat pressing against your shoulders, the breeze fading as the day takes hold of the city. You pull your tunic tighter to shield your skin, though it does little to block the warmth. The air smells of dust and sweat, the stones beneath your feet radiating the heat of the growing day. You and your mother return home, the basket of herbs and a small piece of bread for lunch carried carefully in your hands. The streets are busier now, neighbors hurrying to finish errands before midday, when the sun will claim the city fully, forcing most to retreat indoors and wait for the heat to pass. Lunch is light, the bread shared in small pieces, dipped in oil, and the herbs added for flavor, bringing a hint of freshness to the meal. Your family eats quietly, the air inside warm, but still cooler than the streets outside. Each bite is small, each sip of water careful, as the day's heat continues to build around you. As the sun reaches its peak, you hear the city quieting, neighbors closing shutters, the voices outside softening as people retreat indoors. The light filtering through the window is bright, harsh, but inside, the shadows offer a small refuge, a promise of rest during the hottest hours of the day. Your family rests, lying on straw mats, shifting to find the coolest spots, letting the slow hum of the city lull them into a light sleep. Outside, the air shimmers with heat. The streets nearly empty, the silence punctuated only by the occasional call of a bird or the distant creak of a cart moving too late in the day. You lie there, your eyes half closed, listening to the sounds of your family's breathing, the soft rustle of straw, and the distant heartbeat of Rome as it waits for the evening breeze to return. Your thoughts wander, drifting between the present and the gentle edge of sleep, your body heavy, your mind quiet. And as you lie in the warmth, you wonder quietly, how many days like this did they endure? How did they find the strength to wake each morning, to fetch water, to walk the dusty streets, to face the relentless Roman sun with patience and quiet resilience? As the harsh midday light begins to soften, the city of Rome slowly stirs again. The sun lowers in the sky, shadows returning to the streets, stretching like dark rivers between the warm stones. A breeze finds its way through the narrow alleys, lifting the heat that clings to the walls, carrying with it the scent of dust and warm earth. Inside your home, your family begins to move quietly, rising from the straw mats, brushing away bits of straw that cling to tunics, hair, and skin. The air is still warm, but the promise of evening brings relief, allowing movement without the oppressive weight of the midday sun pressing down on every breath. Your mother pours a small cup of water for each family member, the coolness of it a luxury, a brief refreshment before the evening meal. The clay cup feels cold against your lips, the water tasting faintly of the clay it was stored in, a grounding reminder of the small blessings that break the monotony of the heat. The streets begin to fill once more as neighbors emerge, carrying baskets for last-minute errands, checking on relatives, or simply stepping outside to breathe in the cooler air. The low hum of conversation returns, a gentle chorus of voices mixing with the distant calls of vendors selling the last of their goods before darkness falls. You accompany your father to return borrowed tools to a neighbor, the irons still warm from the day's work, heavy in your arms. You walk slowly, careful not to drop them on the uneven stones, feeling the comforting weight of your father's hand on your shoulder as you navigate around other families returning from the fountain. As you return, the smell of food drifts through the streets, stew bubbling in clay pots, bread warming on small fires, and the sharp tang of vinegar used to season simple meals. The city feels alive, but in a softer way. The frantic energy of the morning replaced with the slow, careful movements of people preparing to close the day. Dinner is shared around a small table. Pieces of bread dipped in oil, a few olives, and lentils warmed again. The soft beans comforting against your tongue. Your family eats slowly, the conversation quiet. Your father speaking about the neighbor's plans to mend a cart. Your mother mentioning the herbs she hopes to trade tomorrow. The lamp is lit once more, the flame flickering in the low clay dish, casting gentle shadows across the plaster walls. The glow of the lamp brings comfort as the outside darkens, and you watch the flame dance, the shadows on the walls moving slowly, telling silent stories as the night deepens. After dinner, you sit near the window, the night air brushing against your face, carrying the scent of the river and the faint perfume of crushed herbs from the market. Stars begin to appear in the sky, one by one, distant yet comforting, pinpricks of light reminding you of the vastness beyond the city's walls. Below, the streets quiet again, the voices of neighbors drifting away, replaced by the soft footsteps of watchmen patrolling with torches that glow like fireflies in the dark. The city, which felt harsh and heavy under the sun, now breathes slowly in the night, alive but gentle in its waiting for the dawn. You help your mother fold the linen cloths, stacking them neatly for the next day. Each piece carries the faint scent of the day's sweat and dust, but they will be washed tomorrow at the fountain, ready for another day of work beneath the sun. The rhythm of folding and stacking feels comforting, grounding you in the quiet routine of family life. Your father checks the door, ensuring the wooden bar is secure. The soft scraping of wood against wood is a familiar sound, one that tells you it is time to rest, to let the day slip away as the night deepens. The lamp's glow warms the room, its small flame a companion against the darkness. You lie down on your straw mat, shifting to find a comfortable position, the rustle of straw soft in the quiet room. The breeze moves softly through the window, carrying with it the smell of the night, a promise of coolness, a promise that the heat has, for now, retreated. Your mother hums softly, a small tune she learned from her mother, and her mother before her, a song that is as much a part of Rome as the stones under your feet. The tune calms your breathing, your body relaxing as the melody blends with the sounds of the quiet city outside. Outside, the stars glow brighter, the moon rising over the rooftops, casting pale light across the sleeping city. You imagine the hills beyond Rome, the fields resting under the same sky, the river reflecting the moonlight as it winds past the city walls. Your eyes grow heavy, your mind quieting, thoughts drifting between the day that passed and the promise of tomorrow. You think of the heat, the weight of the amphora, the scent of the herbs, the taste of bread dipped in oil, the softness of the night breeze, and the glow of the small lamp that watches over you. And as you drift into sleep, you wonder softly, how did they endure, day after day, year after year, in the relentless heat of ancient Rome? How did they find comfort in simple meals, in the flicker of a lamp, in the hush of a night breeze? And perhaps in our own restless lives, what can we learn from their quiet endurance? A midday sun hangs like a silent overseer above Rome, its heat pressing down on every street and stone. The shadows have retreated, leaving only a sharp brightness that seems to hum with its own life. The marketplace, once bustling, has quieted, vendors pulling cloths over their goods to protect them from the relentless light, while families hide behind shutters to wait out the harshest hours of the day. Inside your insula, the air feels thick, heavy with warmth, and the scents of the midday meal that drift through the narrow halls, lentils boiling over small hearth fires, the sharp tang of vinegar added to pots, the smell of olive oil on bread. You hear voices, but they are low, subdued, as if the heat itself commands quiet. As we come to the end of this quiet journey through a single day in ancient Rome, thank you for spending this time here, resting with us, and letting your mind drift through history's quieter corners. If you found comfort or rest in these stories, I invite you to gently subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing you calming history to fall asleep to whenever you need it. And when you're ready, there are many more stories waiting for you here. Stories from forgotten worlds, quiet details of daily life in times past, and gentle reminders of how far we have come. You can find these other boring history for sleep videos right here on the channel, whenever you need a soft companion for your nights. Sleep well, and thank you for being here.